Okay, I should be live on your feed. Okay, yeah, it says I'm live. I'm still figuring out the YouTube stuff here, so it's radically different. With YouTube. Oh, it does. Hey, with the thumbnail I hurriedly picked. Cool. Okay, so oh, there you can check which it gives me that. It gives me some stats. Um, oh, first order of business. There's room. Go figure. D drive. Not sure what size the video files are going to be. If I want the drive to run out of space. There we go. Okay, I don't think we're going to rack up 137. So now you does not give you the same sort of stat. Hello there, S Grant 42. Thank you, my most loyal viewer. So I'm going to be doing more streams on Conlang, Conscripts, things like that. I normally stream on Twitch game. I have done a little bit of Conlang stuff on Twitch too, but not that much. I'm exploring YouTube because it has discoverability potential for up and therefore reach a wider audience. What I'm going to do today is work on one of the writing systems I've created, which is for a language I'm working on. It's probably the most ambitious constructed language I've tried to make, and it's been a little bit problematic because what I chose to build was a Semitic style triconsonantal language, uh, three consonant roots typically, uh, like modern Arabic or Hebrew or Syriac, if that's still spoken, or evidently ancient Egyptian, Akkadian, things, languages like that, where the core of the language has evolved to be words which are constructed based on clusters of consonants, and the vowels change the meaning. That's probably not very clear to anybody who doesn't already understand. But I have created a writing system, which you can see on screen here. Place there, called Ashwadi, and it's a work in progress. So I've still got more stuff to do with it, and I'm trying to slowly, incrementally make changes that achieve those goals. It is an alphabet. It is based on Kufic Arabic shapes originally, but I've mutated it away from that quite a bit. So if you look at that and your mind says, "Oh, well, that's Arabic," it's not at all like Arabic. Uh, not at all. It's written left to right, not left. It's alphabet out of Abjad, and it is intended to be for the language that I'm making, but I haven't made the whole language. So it's a sort of iterative process of what I have in my mind for what I want to create language, but haven't created yet, and how I want the writing system to look so that it reflects that, suits that. And it kind of goes back and forth. I'll go do something in the language and think, hang on, I can't do that in the writing system the right way. So in this particular instance, the original language, like most Semitic languages, has the vowel A, I, and U. That's it. Uh, Arabic is like that. Hebrew has also evolved E and O, I believe, but I don't speak Arabic or Hebrew, so I really know. I want my language to have done the same thing. A, I, U. Really, that would be better written. I, A. I is the E sound is a front vowel. Is losing the word, but it's central and lower on the thing and scale of vowels. U is a back vowel. The language that I'm building has evolved to use E and O as well, but the writing system is supposed to have come around before that change. So the people that wrote in the Ashwadi writing system would have had to evolve a way to do that. The way that I want to do that is to have E, or A, be written A, Y, that, and O to be written A, W, like that, which they are when you spell them out as AY or AW. The writing system at the moment currently takes any E and makes it an I, any O makes it a U, which means that I can make up a word. Let's say Jema. If I spelt it Jema, it's going to look like that. If I spelt it Jayma, it's going to look like that. I would like the first version that I wrote there, where it substituted an I for an E, for it to substitute a Y. Don't know if I can do that. So I'm going to try, see if I can change the way this works. Hello, actual Kevin. I have 2 viewers now. That down. No big surprise. How you doing today? I also don't need that pop up. Really want to get rid of all that crap. Oh, is it that? Oh, there's a way to turn this off. I had it turned off before. It's not a feature I need. Anything else? Put that icon. Okay. Anyway, ignore that. How you doing today? So, if I go to the features, I don't know if this would be better visible or not. Currently, right now, there are 2 lines here in this particular substitution rule that say if you type in an E, replace it with an I. If you type in an O, replace it with a U. Here is I, U. So you can see that rule is working. I'm going to get rid of that rule, just remming it out, and see if I can. Have to rem it out and then recompile the feature file. Now if I type in Windows. Oh, you're not. Type in J E. It is doing what it's supposed to do. I do an initial vowel. That symbol there is the same as AY, but it is not joining it. So J A Y. I want J E do the same thing. You can see on the left how the J is joined in because it's used MEDI version. It's going to get complex pretty quickly. Every symbol in this is a broad. Yeah, Mr. B started with none. Yes, this is true. I unfortunately don't have like $5,000 to give away to random streamers. Point. If I did, I'd give it away to me. But yes, actually, I really like done some great charity. Um, in Arabic, in particular, which I really like as a writing system. Basically, every consonant has an initial form, start of a word, a medial form in the middle of the word, and a final form at the end of the word, and an isolated form, which is when just that one letter appears with nothing else attached to it in the word. It doesn't come up that often, but Arabic doesn't write all the vowels necessarily. It doesn't have to. The vowels are usually marked with diacritics. My system as an alphabet is simpler and focuses on making each set of grouped characters, like that first set there, JAY, each syllable together into a cluster. So, picking something suitable, like say the city of Tashkent, T-A. You write the T, it's giving you the equivalent of the isolated form. You can see it's got a little angled bit there. You put in A in, and it adds A symbol. You put in SH, and it adds S. And because I'm using SH as a combination to make the sh sound, if you type in H, it puts in that dot at the bottom there, which tells you that this says TASH, and they're all joined together. If I was to make that Tasha, add another A, then the SH will flip and become part of a second syllable because we have two syllables, ta, sha. If I go back to Tash and I put in K for making Tashkent, K-E-N-T, you can see that it is screwed up here because I have changed that one rule there. Let's make it Tashkent, like that. Okay. So I have a special symbol for NT as a combination, and it is put in one syllable of Tash and then second syllable of Kant in the same word, and switch to the appropriate symbols. So far, so good. But if I try and use an E in there, it is substituting a glyph for AY, which is how I want to symbolize it. If I type in AY, AAY, there it does it properly. And then NT. And there's a bit of a jump. Okay, it should have been NT. Boom. So I want to make this happen whenever you just hit an E, because in my brain, some of the words that I've got have an E in them or an O, and I just can't adjust my mental view of those words to use AY or AW properly. I mean, if I wrote them that way long enough, I'm sure I get used to it. But it just kind of bugs me because I've been working on this stuff for a long time. Place that so I rationalized the reason why that could happen, but I want the writing system to reflect the time when that wasn't true, and the writers had to adopt a way around it by adjusting the symbols that they used with the given pool of symbols that they had. Uh, Same thing happened with English with our bizarre spelling of things. There's all sorts of words that have the reverse. We say them in one way now, but we've kept the old spelling. All the GHT combinations. Um, this one can be used in Photopea. It should work in any Adobe app because it's using Adobe technology, and I'm pretty sure they support their own stuff. It will work in Microsoft Word, but you have to go tell it explicitly to turn ligatures on. I'm heavily abusing the ligature feature that Adobe included in their OpenType font stuff. I don't think anybody's supposed to be doing this. Yes, Goatee as fish, the famous example. Yes. It will work in WordPad. It'll work in OpenOffice. Sorry, it'll work in LibreOffice. I'm not sure it works in OpenOffice. It did before, but they updated it, and I think you now have to go explicitly turn it on somewhere, and I haven't done. Or maybe it's OpenOffice that it works in LibreOffice. One of the two. In order to do this natively and not have to use the ligature stuff, I would have to know how to create a language pack for Mac OS and for Windows. This is not documented unless you unless you pay to be a Microsoft developer, which is so much hundreds of dollars a year. Even then, it doesn't seem to be well documented. And I don't even know if that would work. I don't know if you can install an independent language pack or if it has to be approved by Microsoft or Apple because it's part of the operating. It will work in things like Photopea though, because that's the map that I produced testing this stuff out is using this font as well as regular writing. So mostly for color. Hey, they wrote it, they released it, they can live with it. Most people that produce a font are doing so using existing alphabet, and then they go and tweak it. They might have a couple of ligatures in there that are styles or alternatives, something like that, so that when you type in the word little, have the TTL, there might be a special version of a glyph that has the T and the L all joined together, that sort of thing. So most fonts probably have maybe a half dozen ligatures. That's all. I have tons. Yes, I think I did in Fusion. I think it DaVinci Resolve supported it. Twitch supports it. I can pop stuff into my font that uses ligatures like this and create a GDI text that uses one of those fonts, and it supports it too. I don't think I have any configured here. Strangely enough, I do in along with no audio when I do that one. Well, the problem is that the known compatible things, I have to test each of them, and they keep changing from time to time. Like I said, one of the open office versions changed stuff. It went from supporting ligatures to evidently not supporting them. which is, excuse me, which is annoying. None of this is a problem if you just create an alphabet. Um, all font software is built to support Latin by default and has been adapted to support uh, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, uh, the any of the other language writing systems that are big ones. They've added those incrementally over time, and they've had to mangle the font software to allow for inclusions of things like that. But it's really not very elegant. Like um, in Mongolia, they are currently trying to revive the use of their ancient writing system rather than the use of Cyrillic. Their ancient writing system is vertical. I have not found a word processor that will let me enter a vertical script. And I have not found font software that will let me create a vertical script. What you have to do is create the script twisted 90 degrees to the side. And then when you want to write with it in Open Office or something like that, you create a text window and flip the display 270 degrees or whatever it takes, 90 degrees, to display it correctly the way you want. But you have to build it sideways. And there's a sort of Western imperialism air to all this stuff. Writing Chinese and Japanese and Korean and things like that, people have built special engines that are included in the font, and I have no idea how they work because I can't get documentation, or maybe can't figure it out if I find it. Um, that will build all the glyphs properly. I mean, it's all possible. Obviously, people could type Chinese or Japanese on computer screen. There's billions of people doing it, but it's all been developed in a manner to let it work on computers after the core design of the way things work. The range between stellar and horrific implementation. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It works where I need it to work right now, and I used to test it in Microsoft Word when I had a license for that. I tested in Open Office. I get feedback from people that download my fonts every once in a while. Um, and I try to make sure it's, broadly speaking, working everywhere. The side issue is mapping. If I go to, you're on the feature, I go to font and go to, now I'm going to betray lack of information here. Font info. They've moved a whole pile of things in my software, and this is just immensely irritating. I'm sure it's all a better design, but they've moved things like the font information to let me see where things are. Okay, not finding. Yeah. Preferences? Shouldn't be preferences. Be font info. Oh, that's preferences for the program. This is an amazing piece of software. I have to say, this is FontLab Studio 7. It is state of the art. It is probably the best font creation software that exists. It's not cheap. I had FontLab Studio 5 on Mac, and Apple decided that they weren't going to support 32-bit programs. It was going to go to 64-bit only, and I upgraded my Mac, their OS, and font software stopped working, so I had to buy the 64-bit version of it. Luckily, the company that makes FontLab Studio said, well, if you buy a license now, it's good on whatever platform. We're not worried about that. Wasn't that way before. So when I upgraded to FontLab Studio 7, it was runnable on my Mac, and if I ever decided to go back to Windows, I'd be fine. A couple of months after I did that, my Mac died, and I ended up getting a PC, and luckily I could use the same license. So this is the Windows version. The Mac version is actually supposed to be slightly better. I haven't actually noticed the difference. But they have moved absolutely everything. Okay, up here on the top, you can see that this has encoding. Microsoft Windows 1252. I think the rest of it, yeah, Western ANSI. So every font that's created is mapped to a, that's a terrible way to put it, has an encoding. If I create something for MS Windows 1252 ANSI as a standard, then I can install it on a PC and it will run without me having to switch my language, because there is, I mean, I'm creating the Ashwadi language, but there's no language pack for it. So I can't have the whole OS run like that. No localization, no language support for stuff like that. Can't do that. So I create my fonts as if they were Latin fonts and install them. And when I want to write something in a language design document or whatever, I just switch the font to the one that I've created, type it out, switch back to Verdana or whatever I'm carry on. Okay, how's that? Is that better? Actually, I prefer to tip it out of the way. Back. How's that? I don't want to have the mic on camera because it just covers up the screen here. Now, back to the thing at hand here. I want to look at how it should work. P-A-Y. It should draw that. That is PA.medi Y fina. Say if I put a N at the end, changes it. This is going to get more complex pretty quick. Not sure I can do a multiple substitution. Might not be possible. We're going to add in lookup subtest. And then we're going to say, I type in E substitute E glyph I have there. On the right screen? We're on the right. Fine. That's intended for if I just type E on it. Start setting. I want to go here. I don't want it. Oh, that puts it up permanently. Lock it. I can't see it. Way around that. It's the wheat of Windows. Full screen means full screen. We're going to go to the full screen. We're not going to leave the bar across the bottom. I can't put it. So that just keeps popping up. I'm sure there's a way around that. So I want it to do E-A-Y. So that is attempting to substitute E for A, add a second glyph. I don't think I can do that. Not without creating a whole. Okay, here's the core of the writing system at the top here. But if you look down here, here is all the possible combinations that I've created for consonant plus a vowel or vowel plus a consonant. So if I was to try to fix this the brute force way, I would have to create a couple of hundred glyphs at least and add them to the whole establishment here. I think I've written myself into a corner and I can't quite do what I'm intending to do. Try a multi-substitute. Gonna say sub E I A Y. So what that rule should do, can you read that there? You vaguely. A little bit zoomed in more. What that's supposed to do is say substitute anytime somebody hits an E and replace it, that's what that tick means, by AY, which is two glyphs, and I don't think it's going to work. When we compile it, nope, it sees those, right. Can't do it that way, but it sees that as a combination. That, if I, here, on and recompile, nope. Invalid token text was hashtag. It's failing here and seeing the hashtag down here is error. Featured Liga lookup subtest. Oh, no. I know what I have screwed up. I don't know. Right. I have to close those. Okay. Again. Wasn't. I'll just hide my face there. It allows multi-substitution. Because it has done it here. That's new. It wouldn't do that before. I'm really certain it wouldn't do that. It's part of the standard from Adobe, but in 5.1 versions of this software, it was always noted this is a thing we would like to add but have never done. I was sure that they'd done that here too. Let's test this out some more. It's that simple, and that's great. Okay, T-A-N. T-E-N. It has added the Y properly and formed the whole thing properly. If I add a final E, it's still doing it. What other? Emo. It isn't doing the O properly. But it is properly putting. Oh, it is substituting AY. Go in here. Are you on the right screen? You are. This glyph here, it's a little confusing. The titles are at the top of the glyph, but because they're closer to the shape of the glyph, it always looks to me like they're at the bottom. That is the AY, which is the same as E, because I'd always intended to do this change. He has no dot. Yep. So that actually is working. Well, that should mean then I can do the same thing with sub O tick I A W. Now when we go in here and type in TOW, puts in the TA glyph with a W in it and a W medi, which is fine. Earlier I was explaining that you have isolates, initials, medials, and finals, but in my writing system, a medial and a final are the same in most cases, and the isolate, well, there are isolated forms of things, but the initials are, well, I want to put that. A consonant plus a vowel is the same as the medial form. So yeah, it's complex. This is iteration 115, I think, on this writing system. So it's been a long evolution process. I'm just gonna look at some stats here for a second. Unfortunately, OBS has no way apparently to tell how many people are on how many people are watching. But it does give me other stats. I'm not missing any frames, not skipping any frames, and I'm holding at 60 frames per second, which is not too surprising because this isn't overly straining to the graphics card, I'm sure. Kill my sound here. Okay, there, that says there's two of you out there, and I know who both of you are. So I will still have to check this. I'm gonna change the name of that though to substitute vowels. It used to be because it's a replacement. Oh, means this one down here needs to stay the same. Save, recompile. That is miraculously doing exactly what I wanted it to do. It does leave a VOD as soon as you're done. Oh, I know. Yes. I was looking at the last live stream I did, which I mean I marked as being a test, so it's kind of amazing that anybody would look at it. And it's had 45 views. So presumably if I do this long enough and if I find the right category, I'm not sure what to include this as. I put it in as how to, but maybe it'd be better as gaming because people play tabletop gaming, or education because I'm talking about font software or languages or whatever. I don't know. Also, they don't appear to give you a place to put hashtags, so I put a pile of hashtags description. I don't know if the algorithm is going to look at that or either. So, and I need better thumbnails probably. That looks like it's doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Sure that when it does it, it doesn't jump around. That jump should happen. That's okay. Some of these letters, for lack of a better word, they've all been crafted to be the same size in the same position for the most part. Sometimes they change shape. So if there's a jump when you add another letter, that's okay. There's no way around. But sometimes there's a jump where something will shift radically and it's disturbing to see. It just doesn't look right. And that's because I haven't adjusted the spacing. Um, I want to build up a corpus of like web pages I can bring up and things like that. Yeah, definitely. I might need to borrow a generable tool notepad from Devin Nash's repertoire so that I can just have something convenient to type text into. Uh, the thing about working on a writing system like this is uh, I can essentially read this because I created it and I've worked with it for ages. Uh, some of the other ones that I've produced, I haven't done as much with, but still, I made them. I've subconsciously, because I've created them, I've kind of absorbed how to read them. But a viewer coming here is probably going to look at this and think it's Arabic, first off, because they know Arabic has these curvy shapes and they don't read Arabic. And the people that do read Arabic are going to read this from the wrong side and they're going to say, "What the hell is this? That's not right. That looks totally wrong. The person doesn't know what they're doing." That bugs me. An earlier version of this, it was closer to Kufic Arabic. I had somebody tell me that it basically they were an Arab speaker, that was their native language, and when they looked at it, it kind of gave them a feeling of dyslexia because it looked like Arabic, but it obviously wasn't, and I therefore decided that I would try and move away from being overly similar to Arabic. Um, but this is inspired by some of the shapes, and then it's just been mutated away from over those 150 iterations. One of the rules was simply more spiky bits, which it doesn't mean anything, but more spiky bits at the ends there. Uh, because I like the look of them and because they're kind of cool and they appeal to people like fantasy. If you're going to have a strange writing system, it should have lots of, really graphical things that get people's attention. Um, my version of Angmar, um, Ang part I like. Mar, not so much. Kind of very square. Also, I cheat. I create letters that are kind of close to Latin so that I can remember them easily. Not all of them, just a few here and there. Uh, Specifically for the reason of making it easier to learn. I don't know how many of those are still there. A lot of them I've changed since. I'm just kind of stunned that I decided, oh, I'm going to try and do this thing. It's going to take me a while to figure out, and then it been all that long. It's been 45 minutes. The only thing I need to do is um, check to see that working in every edge case. There's a lot of edge case stuff come up here. So TEL. Yeah. Okay, that did something weird. That did something. Where did it go to that? The moment I put in A, Y, giving me the symbol that I want. Same as if I put in E. If I put in I, it switches it. I know this is confusing to the people that are looking at it, but it switches it to use A and the glyph for YI. YI. That. And that isn't exactly what I want to have happen. I might have a problem. E M A. Didn't do anything there. Oh, it's because I had a diphthong. So E A. your problem too. Yeah. Actually, that's not that bad. Not bad. It's just not what I thought it was going to do. Yeah, some of this is okay. We have to distinguish between, and I'm not being clear about it, the way the writing system shows stuff, which I can control, program. The romanization, which is the way it would be displayed if I was writing it in the Latin alphabet so that I'm consistent, like English isn't consistent. And the romanization is the orthography, it's the spelling. So I have some place names that I have created for the world building map that I built, and they have a given spelling, but that may be at odds with the way I'm seeing the writing system work. So the right hand side here, which is where I thought there was the problem, is me spelling stuff the way I had created for my map before I started working on the language. So I think I need to refine my spelling. Yeah, I think I need to change the spelling, not the way the font is. So initial vowels probably fine. Yeah, that's okay there. So got it substituting y to e I. It goes from a I. So wonder if I can address that in two. Should be addressed already. So I find this kind of fascinating. Every time you hit a letter on the keyboard, your font, whichever one you're using, goes through a features list like this and scans the whole thing and tries to find a match. If it finds a match, it's a rule that it should obey. It stops. Unless the features file is broken up into lookups, like I've done here. Each lookup is guaranteed to be checked so that you can have more than one rule apply. And it does that every single time you type stuff to determine what should be shown there. Now, for Latin, probably has relatively few in really quick. It doesn't make a difference. But for something like this with quite a few substitution rules, as you can see here. And then a bunch of category rules at the bottom here that use classes of letters to affect stuff. All of those get done in a fraction of a second. Boom, done. There must be some incredible machine code at the core of the font rendering. I find it fascinating. And then, of course, each letter that's done here, what? Pick a pile of nines. Every letter that's created is a tiny little vector drawing, which is why you can just resize a character, because it just adjusts the scale of everything. And I find that quite interesting, that it can, that the computer can render all this text and apply all those rules and do all that stuff so incredibly fast. I mean, if you think about it, when I open up this font, it has to scan this entire page as well. It does font and display all the text and everything else like that. So each one of those is going through another features list. And I mean, I only have the Liga feature here, but there's all sorts of other types of features that you can add. All this stuff here, those are all different categories of rules and things like that you can add to any font, so that you can have contextual substitutions. There can be letters where tiny vector drawing a conundrum. How so? Each one is a scaled vector drawing from, starting at, well, if I open up a glyph, something simple like this one. This is the 0 line vertically and the 0 point literally. So that spot right there where my mouse is the left wall. A vector drawing rendered very, okay, sure. But it's a vector drawing at very small scale. Going to be technical. So every glyph in a font has a left bearing and a right bearing, and the shape of the glyph is drawn from the 0 point out in one direction or another. Yeah, if you probably can't see it here, but there's a tiny little arrow up here that indicates this is going clockwise. So when this glyph is displayed, that it draws the shape out based on the scale of the font and the relationship to everything, and tracks it all out, and provided that there isn't an error like a break in the line or something like that, it will make a solid shape. Exactly. Yes, I'm just baffled that, I mean, I know modern computers can do millions of operations a second, everything, probably more, but I'm just baffled that font software can do it so quickly. There's just so much stuff happening every time you hit a key that I find it baffling that the computer could just go, oh yeah, sure, fine. Gotta, next. Oh, so what I was saying there is, you can't tell from the screen here. I'm sure it doesn't render well, but this is the left bearing of this glyph. So when you hit the keyboard command Y, when this font is loaded, it will draw this shape to the right of that bearing. And then this is the right hand bearing. You might be able to see the little arrows marked down here, arrowheads. That's where it stops drawing the glyph. So if you hit 2 Y's in a row, it's probably going to do it. No, it did. It draws the next one as if the left bearing line was aligned on the right bearing. You can actually have glyphs that draw into the next glyph or draw into the previous glyph. And you can adjust where this is. You can drag it way over to the right, and it will actually probably move everything if I do that. It didn't. Why? Oh, probably because I am on I, and I'm showing you why. Oh, I can't do a double letter. I am. If I drag this right bearing, grab it over to there. Oh no, I can't do that because it's done a substitution rule in the third place. Yeah, that's not going to work. Anyway, I have to set each letter up that, and then there's how far below the zero vertically it can go and how far above it. This is one of those instances where you can see that the writing systems inherent in the way fonts are designed are based on Latin, because this line here is supposed to be the height of lowercase letters in Latin, and this line up here is the height of uppercase letters, and font software expects it to work that way. My writing system doesn't work that way, so some font software out there is going to go, this is all wrong, and not have a good time possibly. Tried very strenuously to avoid. Okay, so I can take that out and amend the comment. Yeah, so all that says is only A, I, and U for vowels originally. Now E and O are added later on and use existing glyphs. So substitute using a multi-sub rule, which I didn't think I could do. That actually might mean that I could redesign some of the scripting for this stuff here. I'll have to think about that. Oh, the other thing about these rules over on the side here is they are applied in order. So if I have a rule in here that says substitute B followed by an H with a V. If I make any rules concerning B and H in combination down below here, they won't be applied because they will all have been replaced by a V. So all further things need to be modified with V in mind. So when you're writing these rules, you need to think, this is what I'm writing the rule about. What changes are going to be affected by above before I get to where I'm writing the rule, or do I need to write the rule higher? And if I write it higher, what's that going to do down below as well? So the scripting takes a long time. Creating the glyphs is time consuming too, of course, because each of these has evolved in a lot of ways. Oh, I forgot I'd done that. I type in this, you should get a little shape. That's a thing that they do in Arabic. They make geometric shapes out of writing. So that is Ashwadi, written out in Ashwadi to be a shape like that. And I wanted something like that for the title page of the design document. Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't know it did that. My YouTube app stopped you because of a break time reminder I set. Paused playback, and when I dismissed it, continued. So I'm listening now to you at -2 minutes. Right. Can you zoom ahead? You didn't miss much. Lots of explanation of technical crap. And a little bit of me coughing because I didn't bring water here as well. The end result, though, I'm very pleased to say. Oh, neat. That's really neat. It'd be handy if Twitch did that sometimes, wouldn't it? Twitch did a 2 times playback speed to catch up to real time. That's very cool. I mean, YouTube just introduced a whole pile of additions, apparently. A lot of stuff emulating Twitch, I think. I haven't actually gone over all the changes. I'm underprepared here. I don't have any overlays. I don't have any little sticks or anything like that. Uh, I have like 8 buttons on my Stream Deck for YouTube broadcast. So I got to work on all that stuff there. But that is really neat. I think YouTube is really playing catch up, and it's quite interesting. I think I'm going to be doing a lot more of this stuff, trying to build up an audience for stuff related to conlang and conscripting and stuff like that. I'm more of the conscript builder than I am the conlang builder. I built several languages to one degree or another. The current one that I'm making that is going to use this writing system is probably the most complex thing I've tried, and I'm really slowly feeling my way through it. I I have the phonology roughed out. I have maybe a couple of hundred words defined or parts thereof, morphemes. Uh, I have fleshed out the verb in perfectly regular form, but I have not done so in irregular forms. Uh, the language is entirely too regular because I don't have a feel for how triconsonantal languages work. That's neat. That's really neat. I suppose I should read that out because other people might be having the same sort of time delay stuff. So I switched it to playback at 2 times, and it did it until it ran out of buffer and then dropped back to normal speed, of course. Well, it's not letting you go, to the future of my stream, which is just fine. Um, I am not sure what category I should be in. Right now, I am in how to and style, but that kind of suggests how to and what to wear, or which fork to use at the dinner table, or how to do makeup or something like that. That's not quite right. Education, well, I have a lot to learn about this software. I wouldn't call myself an authority, so education might not be appropriate. They don't have a category for world building. Don't have a category just for language. They don't even have just chatting like Twitch does, which is the best catch-all of all of them. So I really don't know what category to be on either. Oh well, evolving process. Um, I'll have to find out better how YouTube is doing stuff well. Because I don't know. I don't know. Realize I have digressed from there into absolute silence or confusion. I don't know all of the features that YouTube has that I can take that font guy makeup video. You do know. Um, I've tried to do that sort of thing for Halloween before, and discovered the importance of putting something on underneath the face to take the face off. Otherwise, you end up scraping a layer of skin. I am. Um, I wouldn't mind actually learning how to do like theatrical makeup. That would be kind of cool. I've always thought, for for television, but never bothered to go. What was I gonna say? Oh, I am gonna stop in a moment here. Having done for an hour, I'm gonna be streaming game Twitch, but I'm happy to say I set out attempting to fix the problem that I had identified this morning, and I fixed it, as opposed to the traditional, oh, it all fell apart. I'll have to go back to the last version to figure out what went wrong. It happens sometimes. Um, this is the most complex piece of software I've ever used in my entire life. You know, over 40 years of computing, and there is just a ton of stuff to try and figure out. Sort of, oh, figured out this, figured out that, and hopefully remembered it. I'm sure I'm skimming the surface of what's possible, but I set out to fix a problem, and I fixed the problem, and it appears to be working just fine, which is absolutely brilliant. Really happy with it. Thank you. And apparently, I can now see that there's a couple of other people out there who haven't chatted, which is fine. Um, hi, I will be doing more of these, whoever you are, unless you're like actual people, something like that. I've got no ID from YouTube. I don't have any tools to let me see on there. I don't think anyway. Certainly not on screen here. Don't know if that lets me do anything there. Nope, no idea. Um, I will be doing more of these streams. I will be talking more about constructed languages and writing systems. Probably going to be building a new writing system if I can get the rough idea fleshed out a little bit. I start off on graph paper when watching TV, and then eventually move to the computer. When I get to the move to the computer spot or time, then I'll probably stream that too. So have a good one. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a good day. I'm going to stop streaming. Boom.